So, now let's talk a little bit about character balance here. So, um, here we got Ghostblade. Okay, now obviously I made a tutorial about Ghostblade, and I feel that Ghostblade is in actually a really good spot. Now, there's a couple things that I want to talk about real quick though that could be really beneficial to changing. One of the big things about Ghostblade is that he has a combo that every Ghostblade main has to learn. And you know exactly what I'm talking about when you have to do Soul Eradicator or Soul Eradication, right? It's the big, long move that he does that flips the opponent in the air, and you have to do a low medium, or crouching a 2B if you really want to be technical. The thing is that that move 2B sometimes will whiff and sometimes won't pop the opponent up high enough to enable Soul Strike to hit for Ghostblade. I think increasing the amount of bounce that has to make that combo more consistent would help out a lot, and it would actually probably increase his combo potential with some characters. Now, I do think maybe increasing the hitbox on it could help out, right? Now, another thing I'm going to talk about real quick is his guard cancel. I think his guard cancel needs to be quicker. That thing is really slow, right? Not only that, it's not plus on hit, which is bad. And it really doesn't help out that, you're trying to get away from the opponent sometimes. And you literally can't do anything because as soon as you recover, some characters like Enchantress can have the teddy bear set up in a way that you literally can't do anything except just block, right? And that sucks. That stinks, right? I just blew 100 mana, try to get you off of me, and then you're still able to press a button. That sucks. I don't like that. I don't think anyone likes that. So buffing, well, this kind of goes into tying with guard cancel as a mechanic, and we'll talk about guard cancel as a mechanic later on. So I'm going to kind of leave that off the table for right now. But another thing I think he needs to be buffed in, honestly, his Ghostblade is in a really, really good spot, right? He's good, but he has really, really big glaring weaknesses, right? The one thing I will say though is I think as a whole, we really do need to address the whole hitbox situation with a lot of these characters. So I'll be showcasing something like that. I'll be showcasing how, every single character, well, not every single character, but characters that have weapons like Vanguard and Ghostblade have elongated hitboxes that stretch out when they attack. And I don't think that's good. I don't think that's a good idea to have, because spacing your opponent out in this game is one of those things that you need to do, right? Why am I getting punished for throwing an attack that my body shouldn't be able to, get hit by, right? And those are the things that I don't really like in fighting games. So this is one of those things that I kind of dislike, and I'll showcase a lot of those things. So that's one thing, right? So obviously Ghostblade I think is in a pretty good spot. I just wanted to get my bias out of the way real quick. Now, Swiftmaster has a lot of issues, right? He's too good, right? His oppression is really, really outstanding. So one of the big things that everyone has a problem with, and I'm pretty sure everyone can say, is his Whirlwind Ouroboros slash Virgil's what is it called? Sword? I forgot what Virgil's is called. We always called it the Gucci belt, so I always remembered it by that. So he has a lot of protection from that because not only does it protect him from projectiles, he can block physical attacks and the whirlwind will still hit the opponent, allowing him for a combo or just, doing damage and doing a lot of pressure at that too. And in some cases, he can mix up the opponent. I'm going to have to bring up some old footage for that if I have it still. But the thing is that Swiftmaster's biggest thing is his neutral skill, the chargeable, right? The Whirlwind Fist, where it goes full screen, it causes a wall bounce and a hard knockdown. And you can combo after it for like 60% of all the cast members. So his damage is ridiculous, right? And I do think his damage needs to be toned down by a lot. Having that much health, right? He only has 850, which means, he can only get, away for so much, right? Yeah, I get that. But if you can't hit the character, it doesn't matter how much health you have. If you can't hit the character, it's too good. So I think we need to address the whirlwind thing. We also need to address how much damage he puts out. And then as for the whirlwind fists, the vacuum fist, whatever you want to call it, that move I think needs to be... It's too good, right? Because it's +3 on block. That's too good, right? I think it should be neutral, right? Because every other character on this character select screen, every character's S button is minus. Every character's S button is minus, okay? Every single character's S button is minus. I did look at most of them. All of them are pretty much either minus or even. Some are a little bit even because of other reasons we'll get to. But he's the only one that has an S button that is plus on block. Everyone else has to use meter to be plus. He doesn't. So that is one thing I think we need to address. The orb dash. I think the orb dash down... that I think needs to be not as plus, right? I don't think it should be as plus as it is, right? I think it should be neutral. That way you can at least, call something out. But now he has, buttons that can, hit everyone, right? Everyone would have at least a chance to do something to get out of the way, right? But having it plus like 8 or plus whatever it is, right, is too egregious when it comes to just sitting there block and then watching your guard gauge go down, 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 and down. It's not fun. So we really do need to address the orb dash. The orb dash is too damn good. His whirlwind is too damn good. And on top of that, his buttons are pretty damn good, right? Now, obviously, there's ways to play around that, which is fine. But I think the problem is that he puts you in a situation with the orb. His wind orb keeps you in one specific space the whole time through. And not only that, if he wants to, he can cancel that into a mini tornado, which is not fun to deal with either, right? So you have to block the whole thing all the way through because of that threat. Not really fun. So we have to kind of address that too. I think having that, I think it should be a cancel window. I think that's what it should be. I think the orb should have a cancel window in terms of you have this amount of time to cancel it into the whirlwind tornado thing before, you can only do another orb. That way it could limit how long his combos can go and also limit how much damage he can put out. So maybe having those kind of things. I'm fine with his orb dash because the orb dash is still a little bit of a skill kind of barrier. right? Not just any old Swiftmaster can just pick it up and start doing, orb dashes around. It does take a little bit of practice. Although I will say that, sometimes it is easy. It's very easy sometimes. But, doing that with a bunch of, combos, that takes a little practice. So there's that. Hitman. Hitman has a lot of good tools, right? His biggest tool is, of course, his lunging attack, which hits really far, right? But then again, you can neutral jump it. It has no verticality at all, so that's good. The only problem I have is his instant air hits far, far too low to the ground. I get it. He's using, an Uzi, submachine gun, whatever you want to call it. He's using a gun to, shoot down at the ground, but still, it's like you still have to... He has 3 overheads and 1 attack. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I'm fine with the first hit being an overhead, and then the others being, like just high attacks, right? Not overheads. That means you can block the first overhead and then go to a crouching stance and then block the rest, right? That's what I mean by high stance attack. The other problem I have is his ability to be safe and then close to the opponent is pretty good. I'm not too sure if I like his forward MS, which he throws the sword and then he gets close to you, right? There's a lot of... I mean, I get it. It's supposed to be a safe, attack, but sometimes it's too good because it puts you right next to Hitman, and that can lead to interesting situations. Of course, it's supposed to be, a fighting game. You have to deal with it, but not being able to do anything afterwards and putting you in this vortex every single time is oppressive, right? And I think maybe putting that MS skill, maybe having it, go a little bit further away is fine, right? In the corner, I can get it. Yeah, in the corner is a little bit different, but mid-screen, being able to be like pretty much grab range between Hitman and him, or Hitman and you, is kind of not that great, honestly, because a lot of characters can't deal with that situation. So he basically steamrolls a lot of people because he's able to keep himself safe. Obviously, let's talk a little bit about the big thing, Shattering Strike. The one big thing that everyone has to deal with is his awakening. His awakening sucks to deal with. Everyone knows that. How could you make it good? Well, one, I would say it shouldn't be able to be utilized on whiff. I don't know of any other character that can cancel a move from a whiff into another move. Obviously, Ghostblade can teleport, but it's not an attack. He doesn't have a follow-up attack on whiff, right? Well, actually, hold on. He does have one for the ghost. So maybe I'm talking out of my ass on that one. But Hitman leads to a crumple state, right? And can still combo into it repeatedly, right? And can basically kill you in one hit, right? Now, that's okay, but the problem is that it's safe. If you block everything, it doesn't matter what you do. He can just do another DP into Shattering Strike, which is -3. There's no attack that is 3 frames. So he can tech a grab. He can still attack you with another, what is it called? DP, and then you're left with doing nothing. Now, obviously, some characters have a DP that can just go right through his Shattering Strike, right? And that's a good, play. But what can you do afterwards? What is there to do afterwards? So some characters can DP after that, right? But then again, all you're doing is just resetting the neutral sometimes. You're not necessarily taking out the problem there, which is Shattering Strike. You have no way to do anything about it. And this is where things kind of get mixed up, where now you have to respect everything that Hitman does, because everything you do is negated by his DP. The best thing you can do is just trade with another DP, right? You can't stop Shattering Strike from happening. So the best way to do it is either DP Shattering Strike or rolling, right? But a character that rolls can't do anything about it, because again, it's safe. You can do nothing. So I think Shattering Strike should be a little bit less. I think the recovery should be longer if it whiffs. If it whiffs, I think you should have a big opportunity to to deal with Hitman. I'm fine if you block Shattering Strike that it's -3. What I'm not fine is that you can roll it and he's still okay. He's still safe. That I don't think is good at all. Now on block, that's a little bit different. So let's go to the next character. Let's go to my worst matchup, Striker. So what things need to be kind of changed? I think we need to address, I think the big thing we need to address is her ability to reset her reverse beat. So Striker is able to reverse beat, right? She's able to go from what button to another button to another button to another button in any order, in any kind of order, right? But I do think on block there should be a strict rule, kind of like in a combo, where if you've already done this move before, you can't go into that move. So what do I mean by that? Let's say you do an uppercut, right? Her DP, go into her whirlwind kick, right? Drop down, okay, you're plus, by the way, and then you do jab, and then you do let's say a medium punch, crouching medium kick, which is her slide. Then you do a skill into another skill, into another skill, into her DP again, into the whirlwind, right? Now, because you already used the jab, you can't use jab right there, right? You have to do a crouching jab, right? And I know that's going to be like, well, what do you mean by that? You can't, that sounds stupid. Yeah, it does. But being able to, being able to make sure that the opponent has a good situation in terms of not being able to just sit there all day long is, part of fighting games where it's, hey, I should have a chance to be able to get out of this situation, right? It's your job as the oppressor to put me in a bad situation with the moves you have, right? And the thing is that no other character has a move list long enough to be able to go into a move, another move, another move, another move, and then repeat it, right? No other character has that ability. So having a little bit of a strictness to that on block is, I think, okay and fine with Striker, right? Her MP skills, I'm fine with being able to reverse beat every single time. I don't care about that. That's one thing, right? But her skills and her medium buttons maybe have a little bit more stricter, unblocked, right? I think that's fine. Let's see. I think anything else I would say. The only problem I have is her dive kick. The dive kick is, I think it's 0 on block, right? It's 0 on block, but not a lot of people know that. And plus, on top of that, she can again cancel it into her jabs, and that's not fun. I'm not gonna be sitting there trying to do anything when I'm gonna get hit afterwards, so it's kind of hard to mess around with that. And I think that's literally all she kind of needs, is a little bit strictness on block strings. Just a slight strictness, like maybe, mediums and skills could, utilize that. But overall, I think that's it for Striker. She's really, I'm fine with Striker in kind of everything she is. Now, maybe some things could get tweaked here and there, but I mean, that's up to, other Striker mains to kind of figure out, right? So, Beserker. So, Beserker, I don't really see too much being changed. I think maybe changing his life absorption, his passive life absorption, could be a little bit tweaked, because he can gain a lot of health from it, right? I think changing it so that it's not as, like every single hit is like 5% or something like that. Maybe like 2% or 3%, somewhere in the middle there. That way, and then have diminishing gains as the combo goes longer and longer. That way it's not too... That way it's not so, he can gain like so much off of one combo. I think that's one thing you could change. Is there anything else he could change? I mean, everything he does is all about conversion. So, as a conversion mechanic, I don't think it's bad at all. So, I'm fine with Beserker. Yeah, I think that's basically it for Beserker. So, let's go to Crusader. Crusader is interesting because his wall is a little too damn good, right? I think I'm fine with the wall, but only if you could place one at a time. But then again, that would kind of be kind of lame if you could do that. But I do think there should be a little bit more variety in terms of his combos. So I think limiting it to one would be nice every now and then, because it would be kind of like in neutral, I can get it. Okay, multiple walls, boom, boom, boom. But in a combo, I think, having it limited to one could be good, right? And I think that would break a little bit about, certain things about the wall. But sometimes it's not fun just not, trying to get close to Crusader sometimes, and then the wall pops up and then hits you because you barely pressed forward, is not fun to deal with. So I think making it a low, no, not a low, but something that hits anywhere on top of where the screen appears it from, right? And it tracks the opponent, and it hits from every single height. I don't know if I like that, right? I think maybe having it so that it's... I think the balance should be that it shouldn't track as well it should, right? It should track up to a certain point, and then once you press it, right, it pops up. But the hitbox, I think, should be a little bit slimmer on it. Obviously, if they're in a combo, it should combo. But if it's in neutral, I think it should be a little bit more slimmer than it is, because it is too damn good sometimes, especially with a character like maybe Grappler or like Lost Warrior, someone who doesn't have, fast enough buttons to contest. It can be really bad, right? And not only that, I mean, Grappler can go through a lot of stuff for Crusader, but Crusader's wall is oppressive to where it doesn't matter what Grappler can do. Grappler would have to just utilize a lot of effort to get close to him, and Crusader has a lot of ways to keep away Grappler. So it's kind of interesting there. Not only that, my character Ghostblade just can't press a button if I'm stuck in the corner and, here comes Crusader in his crouching light. I mean, what am I supposed to do in that situation? All I can do is just shake his hand and say, good game. It's infuriating. So one thing I would also say is that his hitbox on his jumping B is too good. I don't like how it hits behind him, and it's very forgiving. The hitbox on it is very, very forgiving for that jumping B. I don't like that. And I know I'm gonna sound really whiny on that, but it hits me with not the hammer part, but his ass, right? And I'm getting like foot dive levels of BS on that one. So I would like that to be changed a little bit. I'm fine with the hammer, but not with the goddamn handle getting hit by, right? I'm not a fan of that. So let's go to the next one. Let's go to Dragonite. Is there any kind of let's see, does she have any kind of tweaking she needs at all? Honestly, I think Dragonite is fine. And I do mean that, because Dragonite has, obviously good stuff. She has really fast normals, and she has a really good Oki situation with her jumping medium, which is kind of BS, by the way. It hits in a good 180 degrees from top to bottom, and you have to respect it. Lord knows I've gotten hit by that so much. But I'd say, besides some of that, maybe tweaking it a little bit, she has some she's pretty good. She's pretty sound, I would say. She's doesn't got anything truly oppressive, right? If you're getting beaten by her, you kind of need to up your knowledge about the game a little bit, is what I would say. Because I think the only thing that annoys me is her ability to just go into her dragon arm cannon thing, where she launches you up in the air and then you have a hard knockdown. I don't like that it gives her a hard knockdown on that. I'm fine with the blasting up, but not with the hard knockdown part. I just don't think that should be a hard knockdown. I think that would be the only change I would have. That way you would have to, put the hard knockdown on a different skill, like maybe her, I think it's her back S, or her back MP skill, the big swing she does. I think having it on that, the hard knockdown on that, is fine. But I don't like the cannon one being it, because it's just it's an easy hit confirm that leads into an Oki situation, and I don't think it should be that easy, is all I'm saying. So let's go to Kunoichi. Kunoichi is not bad. She's actually really decent. She's got a lot of good mix-ups. Her double jump is really good, especially when utilized with her MP skill in the air, which is the kunai shot down, right? I don't mind it as much. She's one of my she's one of my better matchups, mostly because I know Kunoichi a lot. But I think giving her a little bit more extra damage on some moves could help her out, because I think she does a lot of hits and she does little to no damage, right? The most damage I was able to do is 750, I think it was. And it wasn't an easy combo. It was pretty difficult for some of the way, because it was really, really skill intensive, right? But her damage, I think, could be buffed a little bit. Anything that needs to be toned at all, I don't see much of it. Her fire tornado is fine, I think. I don't really have much problems with the fire tornado too much. Because all you have is just an up and down situation. You really don't have anything else. It's not, you can't do a left-right mix-up on the fire tornado because you're in block, and left-rights don't work on blocks. So it's only an up-down mix-up. So really, that's all you can do is literally an instant jump air, and that's it. And yeah. And as soon as you see her in the air and she has used her double jump, and as she's climbing or falling down, you could just do a guard cancel to just negate everything, right? So I'm not too sure exactly what you would buff. I think making some combos a little bit more consistent, like addressing some hitbox issues with the Toad, could help out. I don't think I'm a fan of her skill, her neutral skill, being as what is it? So low on hit stun as it is. That thing has no hit stun at all. As soon as you do the first skill, you literally have to drop that second skill as soon as possible because there's no hit stun to it. Maybe adding a little bit more hit stun to some of her moves could help out a lot, because her best combos don't utilize a lot of her skill moves. They utilize her bomb, they utilize some of this, let's see, which skill do they use? Usually the first hit of her skill is all they use, right? So maybe adding a little bit more to it could help out with some combo consistency. That could help out. And anything else? I'm fine with her charges. I'm fine with her DP. Her DP is pretty good. I think giving it a little bit more, the first hit, the explosion hit, giving it a little bit more increased range could help out. But other than that, I think she's fine. Right? I think she's fine. Let's go to Ranger. So Ranger is really good. His guard pressure is pretty good. Is there anything else he does? His combos are pretty good. They're very simple. He has a really good DP in that it's a 360 motion, so it hits all around him. I'm fine with it. I'm kind of fine with a lot of stuff. I think maybe I think limiting some, I don't know, because this is a little bit hard, because his back MS skill, which is where he throws his guns and they literally just, you know, start chipping away at your guard and then explode. Those ones are, that move is pretty good on block, and I can't really stress how good it is. It's really damn good on block. And not many characters can deal with it. I think I think maybe adding a lot more knockback could help out, right? But then in the corner, yeah, obviously in the corner, Ranger is rough because all he does is projectile attacks. His light and mediums are pretty much projectile attacks. And there's no projectile counter in this game, as far as we know, except, guess what? Swiftmaster. But then again, he also has his MS skill where he just shoots in the middle of the screen, and you know, he can combo into that like up to 3 times, and then that last hit does a ridiculous amount of knockback damage. It's I think maybe opening it up to have a little bit more of a I think giving him a little bit more open moves. What do I mean by that? I mean being able to roll from these moves. So no matter how early he cancels the move, you can roll through it. I think would help out a lot with a lot of characters, right? But then again, I think we have to buff roll in of itself. And for that one, I'm going to talk a little bit about that a little bit later. So I think Ranger is in a good spot. Yeah, I think he's in a good spot. I really do think so. Let's talk to the next one. Let's go to Troubleshooter. So Troubleshooter, which is the, I guess you could say, alter ego of Hitman. Troubleshooter is also pretty good. One thing that he has going for him is that he has a lot of combo potential because he has a way to give himself white life. But his white life is a percentage, not like Beserker. Berserker's is up until you utilize an MP skill or conversion. So I think his is, you know, situational. You have to kind of load it first before you can use it. And it does take a little bit of time. Maybe quickening that could help out, right? And who knows, maybe you could see a lot of, you know, combo videos coming in if you quicken it up. I think that would be kind of cool, is to quicken the his swig of the alcohol. Any problems I see though? I don't really see many problems with him. He's got really good buttons, but everyone does have good buttons with some characters. Launcher. But he's got a lot of tools to help himself out. Obviously his grenade is pretty good, but I think maybe having a little bit more recovery on it. So if you roll his grenade, I think it should lead to some kind of damage onto him. But that's just me. I think he's in a good spot. I really do think he's in a good spot. So Lost Warrior, I said it before and I'll say it again. He sucks, right? He sucks. One of the big problems that he has is that his buttons are horrible, right? His best buttons is probably crouching B or 2B. And it is the one where he stabs into the ground and he does a little like trail of some energy, right? And it hits pretty far, right? So that's one thing that goes for him. But I don't think he's got good buttons when he can throw them out there, but they're all slow. So it's kind of hard to do that. His best buttons are his MP skills. And one thing I do actually hate a lot is I see a lot of Lost Warriors. What they will do is once they have been knocked down, they will immediately jump and then press the MP skill because it comes out pretty fast. But not only that, it just negates lows for some reason, which I don't really like, the fact that you can jump that fast. But that I do think could be tweaked up with the jump. But then again, he's just in a bad spot to where he can't do anything. Any kind of buffs he needs. Here's the problem. If you buff Lost Warrior, he's going to become the new Swiftmaster. Because he has already good, and I do mean he has good mix-up potential. So he does have very good mix-ups, right? And the problem is that a lot of characters would easily be able to die if you buff Lost Warrior in some way. And he would become very oppressive, right? At least that's what I would think. That's what I would think, is that if you buff him up, he would become a slightly overtuned. But the problem is that he's already undertuned. But then again, if you even tweak it just a bit, he's probably not going to get to where everyone else is. And then you have to overtune him again, and then he becomes probably the better character in the whole game. I do think that maybe lowering his damage output could help out a lot. And I do mean like a lot, because when this character goes into an awakened form and then has 200 meter to work with, he's killing almost every single character in one combo. And that's just kind of crazy, even for this game's standards, right? So I think maybe toning down his damage could help out a lot. What could be buffed? I'm not too sure, honestly. I think just maybe making his buttons quicker would probably be the first buff. But that's about it, honestly. He's undervalued, or I should say he's underperformed, but I do think that it's because he does play in a very sporadic way, to where you have to use mix-ups to get any kind of use out of him. So that would be my only kind of thing. So the next character, let's go to Enchantress. So what has Enchantress got going for her? She's got a lot of tools to deal with, right? She has basically 2 movesets, right, in one character. She has a moveset when she's not utilizing the puppet, and then she has one when she is utilizing the puppet. So she's got a lot of tools to deal with the whole cast of this game. But I think the biggest thing is that her mix-ups are really good. And I've always said this, Enchantress is just, we just haven't seen the full potential because she's just taking too long to actually utilize her, right? So I think maybe, again, I just don't know about this. So she is, to me, she's good, but she's just not as oppressive as some other characters, mostly because of the high skill ceiling she has. And I think she doesn't really need to be tweaked too much. She's got a lot going for her. So I think it's just maybe increasing some... I think maybe increasing her speed of the teddy bear could help out a lot with her. I think that would be it, because you can move the teddy bear in a disjointed way with her, where if you crouch, you can just move the teddy bear. And I think positioning the teddy bear to where you want it quicker could help out a lot. So maybe that's it. I don't know. Again, I don't know. Let's go. Have I done Grappler? Even I don't know. So let's do Grappler. So Grappler, let's see, what has he got going for him? One of the big things he has going for him is he has one of the most lethal mix-ups in this entire game. If you don't have a DP to get him off of you, and if you call it wrong, you're basically dead for any kind of reason at all. I mean, he has armor that can just plow through even DPs. So it is one of those things that this character is good, right? And I have a lot of problems against Grappler because one of the problems I have is his stomp. His stomp is fast. It's hardly reactable, and it's hardly able to be punished in any kind of way. The only things you can do is roll through it or DP it. And if you don't have a DP, good luck. What has he got that he needs to be buffed? I think maybe increasing his dash speed could help out. But, you know, being able to run across the screen and then grab someone doesn't sound very appealing to me. One thing I do know is that he kind of needs to be more punishable on some things. And this is kind of how I would say, because a lot of people have already said that they don't really utilize a lot of his mana because his moves recover fast enough, and he doesn't have any kind of ways to utilize all of his MP moves in a combo, right? So he's always consistently having mana. He always has mana to burn. And one thing that I kind of came up with is, well, how about making it so that his MP skills, all of his charged MP skills, you know, specifically the stomp and the charge, his shoulder charge, are plus on block, right? But they take a little bit more mana, right? A lot more mana than a lot of other characters, right? That way to kind of like slow him down a little bit. And then this would still allow him to get in, but you know, the uncharged versions, all uncharged versions would be minus something, right? At least allowing some kind of punish on him. I think maybe making it -5 so that he can get grabbed is one thing, right? Or, you know, just being able to not be able to, you know, because, you know, some characters have 5-frame normals, so it is something that, you know, needs to be kind of tweaked up a bit. I'm just going this as I go, so, I mean, spitballing here. But his stomp is really good, and I don't even know if his green stomp is punishable. Mostly because I don't get a chance to do anything as a Ghostblade. I just don't get a chance at all. Grappler's armor moves, I think, is fine to some extent. He has like hyper armor where it's like 3 attacks or 2 attacks, I think it is. I'm not too sure. But he's got a lot of armor on his skills, and it's pretty hard to punish him sometimes. So I think maybe utilizing, you know, lowering that could help out a lot. So other than that, I think some of the stuff is pretty good. One thing I will say needs to kind of get toned down a lot is his jumping skill. The axe kick he does in the air is too good. I think bringing down the hitbox is something that needs to happen, because this hitbox is wide. It hits really, really wide, and that's a lot of, yeah, it's a lot that I don't really like how far it can go sometimes, right? And it can be daunting to actually challenge it, because if you guess it wrong, I mean, if you don't hit him, not only could he get a combo, but he still is plus enough to where he can still get up close to you, and you have to respect everything he does, because, well, he's got everything in in his toolbox to get close to you, right? So I think Grappler's in a good spot. Just he needs to be tweaked on his jumping skill and maybe the utilization of his mana, because his mana is easily replenishable, and just it would allow him to just kind of slow down a little bit more. So that's all. Let's go to Inquisitor. So Inquisitor's, I don't know, man. Inquisitor's moves are a lot more stubby than initially thought. I thought she was pretty good in the beta, but her stubbiness is pretty apparent now, where I see her going through a lot of the motions, and she can't hit confirm from certain distances at all. And I mean, that's good for me because I can get away, but it's bad for her because she's in a state where she has one of the lower healths in the game, and she's just easily bullyable in some aspects. She has the best DP by far, where she can just negate a lot of things because it's fast and it hits from the bottom all the way up to her head and slightly around her. So she has a really good DP. The fire wheel, I mean, again, if you don't properly stop people, I mean, it just comes out too slow to actually be utilized. So it's one of those things that she does need a little something. I mean, Inquisitor mains could probably help me out here onto what she could probably utilize, but she's on the weaker side of this game's cast, right? She does have a combo after her DP. Not many characters do, but that's only when she throws her bottle at people. And, you know, that kind of requires a little bit of setup. So, other than that, she does need a little bit of buffs. Range increase, I guess, could help out. And I think that's probably her only weakness, is just some moves are very hard to hit because, you know, her moves are just stubby, where the next move that she wants to do is not in range because the knockback pushed her back just far enough to be outside of her range. So maybe just helping her out in that could help her out a lot more. What does she have? Fire wheel, the DP, and then her back MP is the fire trap. I don't know. I mean, she seems like a lockdown character, right? So she should be good at like guard pressure, but even then she's really not that good at it. But who knows? Maybe they'll balance her out this coming week. Who knows? So Vanguard, I don't know if I talked about Vanguard at all. I've forgotten. I mean, it's already been an hour, so I don't even remember who I talked about. Goldfish memory right now. So Vanguard's biggest weakness is the fact that his passive skill, his awakening passive skill, sucks. Okay? Now, he does do like a lot more extra guard damage, but man, it's so insignificant when you have someone like not Striker, I was about to say Hitman. Someone like Hitman who just has an extra move that can just stop opponents from pressing a button. So I think maybe giving him a little bit more of a buff. And the problem is that if you give him a buff with his awakening passive, it will make him just as busted, if not a little bit more so than what's his face, Hitman. Obviously his DP needs to be tweaked up where it needs to be hitting. And I think giving the hitbox of not Vanguard, I think giving the hitbox of Inquisitor, her DP to Vanguard's could help out a lot. Now, obviously, you don't need the startup, but just the hitbox where it hits as low as it does, and then, you know, just giving him a little bit more extra room to, you know, deal with it, because, you know, there's a lot of times where I have pressed a button and then a Vanguard does his DP and I go, oh, I missed that one, right? Where it's like I'm the one that's, you know, feeling like I got lucky, when in fact it's more like the guy called it right, but he's pissed and I'm just kind of laughing it off. So you know, it's one of those things that needs to be kind of addressed with him. Anything else? I think his combos, I think, are pretty limiting, because he can't actually go from... So the thing with Vanguard is that he can't combo into his heavies or skill buttons. He has to go light, medium, and then into his special skills as quickly as he can. And I think Crusader is the only other character that can't do that either. But with Vanguard, I feel like maybe he should be able to. That way it can increase his, you know, his combo potential. Obviously, it would probably make him a little bit broken because he can just go from one side to another side to another side to another side. But it doesn't sound like it's that bad when you have someone like Striker who can just go into any button. So, who knows? But then again, hold on. I'm just thinking now that many of the big characters, which are Vanguard, Crusader, and Lost Warrior, I don't think they can go into their heavy skills at all. They can't. Well, they don't combo into each other is what I'm saying. Except maybe Lost Warrior, because he does have an uppercut that can be comboed into. So I may be speaking out of my ass again. So, don't know. Now for the last character who desperately needs a buff, Launcher. And Launcher is just bad. She is just bad. I think maybe changing... Sorry about that. I think maybe changing up her her passive could help out a lot. Instead of, you know, extra chip damage, have it do some actual, like, true damage. And then, you know, like maybe 20... Like, cutting it in half, cutting the move's chip damage in half, but actually using true damage there. That way you can have a little bit more of a something that's lethal at distance, because right now Launcher is not good at all. Her combos are really, really limiting. The only thing she can do is just 5A into her slide move. Right? Every Launcher main does that, right? And it gets old very quickly. There's no really combo variety with her. I think opening up many of her attacks to be able to, you know, combo into would help out a lot. Her air skill, her MP skill in the air, the nuke, I think making that faster could help her out a lot, because that move, I think it does actual, like, it does true damage even if you block it. I think I'm not too sure. I would have to test it out later, but you know, anything she needs besides the combos and maybe buffing up her special attacks, because she's supposed to be the premier, like, keep away character. But the thing is that Ranger does her job. Yeah, Ranger does her job better than she does. So maybe adding a little bit more, I think maybe adding a little bit more block stun to some of her MP skills could help out a lot, because that way she can actually do some things and not just, you know, press it and then, you know, a person blocks it and then just waits for another button to punish her or whatever. I think she needs a buff. She needs a lot of buffs, right? So that's one thing that I would say that she really does need a lot of buffs is that her specials needs to be a lot more threatening, right? Her specials should be threatening. Let's see. Anything else besides that? I think, other than just having a little bit more combo variety, I think, yeah, that's it. And I think that's the last character, honestly. Looking at all the characters, I think I got it. Right? So, okay, let's talk a little bit about Guard Cancel then. So, Guard Cancel is something I think needs to be addressed. I think rolling needs to be addressed. There's a lot of things that need to be addressed, I think, because a lot of the defensive mechanics I like, but they're not utilized very well. Let's see. Guard Cancel Olish. So, Guard Cancel is interesting, right? For 100 mana, you can cancel your guard and then attack the player, right? But the problem is that there are situations where you don't want to, right? This is one of those, right? This is one of those situations where you don't want to press this at all because I can punish you, right? Not only that, some characters can't hit from a certain distance, right? There are some distances where you can't actually hit, and that's just something I'll talk about later. There are some distances you just can't hit the opponent from, right? And I think addressing that could help out a lot. One of the things that I kind of was thinking or brainstorming about was adding a new feature where, so the guard cancel would cost 50 mana instead of 100 mana, right? This could help out a lot with, you know, some characters having to deal with, you know, very oppressive things, right? And I'm just kind of talking for myself here. That would, you know, just can't normally get out of the situation. However, what you could do is when you do a guard cancel, you could roll instead of attacking, right? So think of it like a guard cancel roll, right? To get out of like a situation, right? I think that, and it would cost an extra 50 mana, going back to 100 mana, right? However, I think guard cancel should be faster, right? I think it should be faster for some things, right? And it, as you saw right there, just can't hit. Just can't hit from that distance, right? I think it should be faster for some things, right? Obviously, air attacks, you don't really want to do that as much. But some characters have attacks, like Striker, that can, if they know it's coming, can just go into another move, right? And you can also react, DP this, right? You can react to this move, right? You can react to a lot of the guard cancels in this game. So it's one of those things that guard cancel isn't that great, and you kind of want to guard cancel when the character's in the air, right? When they're in the air, you want to guard cancel, usually, if you have a high enough hitting, right? But the problem is that not a lot of characters have that high hitting Vanguard guard cancel. A lot of them have, you know, very easy to see kind of like middle of the pack attacks, right? And the thing is that this move Ghostblade is using right now, this is his guard cancel. This is the guard cancel he has. So the hitbox is literally the same, right? And this is okay-ish, but the problem is that it's slow. And I have been beaten by many attacks in the past because this move is so slow that I can't do anything about it. And I'm just left thinking, what could I have done? There's nothing I could have done in that situation, right? The other problem I have is that a lot of the guard cancels in this game, what's his name? Hitman has a really damn good guard cancel. And it's also plus from something I learned not too long ago. And the thing is that I've always wondered, why is that, right? Why can he do something and then I use mine is not plus? So again, we have to have some universal moves here. We kind of need to have everyone on the same playing field here, right? I do think that some of the moves, a lot of the moves for the guard cancel is usually down S. So that's Vanguard's down S, right? And everyone kind of follows that, right? And it's supposed to hit, you know, up and around, usually for most characters. But not every character can do that. And a lot of characters, you know, their down S isn't really that great, you know? Like Grappler's down S is, if you uncharge it, is not that great, right? There's no range on it at all. And then when you use guard cancel, if the opponent knows, I mean, it's kind of checkmate at that point, right? So I think making the guard cancel quicker could help out. It should still be like, if you know it's coming, you should be able to, you know, react to it and DP it if you want to. But it's one of those things that I think making a little bit more, not in depth, but giving an extra kind of like, hey, I don't want to guard cancel, but I want to get out of this situation and be able to roll, could help out a lot. And I think, you know, giving the player the ability to guard cancel and then roll out of a situation could help out a lot. Now, let's talk a little bit about... Okay, let's talk a bit about Hitman. Let's talk a little bit about him. Because I know Shattering Strike is one of the big discussions, right? And I should say big discussion because there's not a lot of discussion anymore. So obviously, the big thing with him is Shattering Strike. And I have to take this off. Where is it? Gauge settings. Oh, what? Excuse me? There we go. So the problem with this move is that... Oops, wrong one. The problem with this move is that you have to do, you know, a couple things. If you have, you know, invincibility, you can, you know, down, you know, you can, you know, DP this move, right? If I was someone else. But since I'm not someone who has a DP move, I have to use that. I have to roll, right? The problem with this is that he's safe. He's safe afterwards, even after a roll. And I've already talked about this, making it so that Shadow Strike is minus on whiff with a lot of recovery could help out a lot. Obviously, you can have it so that he still has a lot of animation, or not animation, but he could still have, you know, the -3 on block, but have roll be, you know, good enough to, you know, have a proper punish should be one of the big key things that he has, right? So being able to just roll through this and then punish, being able to roll through this and punish should be a standard, right? But also there are some moves that I do think that you should be able to roll and be able to punish, right? What are some of those moves? I think any kind of move with long reach, like this move right here. Obviously that move, because holy crap, that hits hard and far. This move, that's fine, right? Because it's supposed to be, this is supposed to be more of like a check about things. But the problem I have is that rolling isn't rewarding to do sometimes. A lot of the times you roll to do two things. One, to mix up your opponent, right? Because if you're right here and I do this and I just do that, right? I can mix you up. But the other thing is to just, you know, get the hell out of dodge, literally, right? Just to get out of the way of some attacks. But there's no proper, there's nothing you can do about it if the opponent, you know, does like a jumping move, right? You can't really punish them because there's a lot of recovery to rolling. And I do think that if you roll out of the way of some attacks, you should be able to have, you know, a recovery to either punish or to just, you know, put it back into like a into a zero frame situation where now the first button that comes out is the winner, right? So I think because some moves like let's say Crusader's jumping B, which I was talking about. That move hits really far, and it hits behind him. So properly, dodging it, I think should have decreased amount of recovery, right? If you properly not space it out, but properly dodge it, right? If you dodge it, it should have recovery, right? Faster recovery. Now, does that mean that Crusader is in a bad spot? No, because he's jumping with a button. He should be able to block almost anything that I throw at him. Anything, right? And I shouldn't be in grab range because I jumped out, right? Or I rolled out of the way. So if I rolled out of the way, he jumps, back over here into the corner or something, and I just roll out of the way. I shouldn't be in grab range, right? It's a good way to kind of reset the neutral in some ways. Obviously, you could just get grabbed, but I mean, that's also part of the mind game, right? So being able to roll, I think rolling needs to have a slight change to the recovery to it, because as it is right now, there's just so much recovery to this that I can't do anything, right? Even if I tried, right? And it's just one of those things that there's so much recovery to this that it's insane. So I think also making this a little bit faster in terms of I don't know. I always thought that this move, the roll should be a little bit more invincible than it is. 3-frame invincibility is alright, but I mean, there's a lot of situations where you could try to roll, but you're still gonna get hit because of the big meaty, right? And there's a lot that exists where you could just have meaties upon meaties, right? So it's one of those things that I think because the Oki situation is so strong, you do need some strong defensive tools to combat it, right? I think rolling is a good step to kind of buff up, right? I think increasing the distance could help out in some cases, right? Especially to escape the corner. But I think I don't know. I just kind of like the idea that, having a guard cancelable roll would be kind of cool. You would still have to input the whole, forward, thing, the forward thing. Yeah, you would still have to do that. But then after that, you could just input a roll, right? And we already have macros for guard canceling and a whole bunch of other things that it shouldn't be that big of a deal to do, right? Even at a casual level, or at least in my eyes. Any kind of big universal changes? Grabs. Grabs are... I think grabs, for the most part, if you're the one grabbing, you do have plus frames, right? But I think it should be universally, I think it should be kind of universal. Like, grabs should be plus something, and your options should be somewhat limited to something, right? Let's see. The grab distance, though, makes it so that it doesn't really matter too much about what you do afterwards, because the grab distance, if you look at it, I mean, it basically resets neutral. That's all it does, right? And that is a little bit of annoying to have, because if I have a grab, I should be able to do a little bit more damage than 150 just to reset neutral, right? And I get it. Grabs can be a little too strong. But in the corner, let's look at this. This right here, this tech, look how much distance there is. Look how much distance there is. You know, I just need to take one step, and now I'm back in range. Just one step, and I'm back in range. Like, there's... and I do think that maybe it should go the Street Fighter 6 way, which if you don't know what's going on in Street Fighter 6, you know, grab techs push you far, far, far away. And I do think it should do that, where grab techs, you should be somewhat rewarded to, you know, surviving a mix-up like that. And, you know, the reward should be, oh, okay, let's get a little bit distance here, right? So it just pushes you back further away. Like something like right around here-ish would be nice. That way, you know, both characters go a good set amount of distance away. That way no one's really in a advantageous situation, because Kunoichi and Striker have fast attacks, and even Swiftmaster has long range attacks. He, even being here, Swiftmaster is advantageous, right? So having, you know, Swiftmaster be a little bit like here or something, I mean, that would be very that would be really crazy. But Swiftmaster has good buttons. So maybe making it like this to where it would barely like whiff or something. Let me, whoops. So let's go here. So just making it so that, you know, every character's light, crouching light, just barely whiffs, I think is a good, you know, range setter right here, right? So right around here is a good spot, right? Because now you have to hit with a medium, right? But if you hit with a medium and your opponent does a light, you're gonna lose that engagement. So I think having it so that, you know, grab techs, you know, tech you a little bit further away from this. I mean, the animation of you moving that far back would be kind of jarring, but hey, for the sake of balance, right? Air blocking, I don't think air blocks should be in the game at all. Air blocking would just kind of destroy this, because if I could just chicken block, you know, anything that comes up, it would literally make it so that, let's say I do a move where I can't cancel anything, like this move right here, right? It would make it so that if you were able to chicken block this, right, you could instantly guard, essentially guard cancel, without having to spend any kind of mana, right? And you could say, well, yeah, that's skill. Depends, right? But it would break a lot of things, because chicken guard would become a thing where you would always have to jump, right? And I don't think I want to jump in this game all the time, right? But there are some matches where I have to jump a lot more. But I can still play the ground game pretty well. I don't really need to take to the air too much, right? So I think blocking, and this is go into the whole, like, what would be the point of you know, calling an attack and DPing that attack, right? It would just kind of nullify DPs in general. Not only that, there's not a lot of good anti-air options for some of the casts, talking for myself, but it would help out a little bit more in terms of some of the defensive options if you could air block, but I'm not interested in those. So other than that, balancing this game, I think we could start by just, you know, toning down some damage, right, for some of the characters. Other than that, I think that's it. So hey, thanks for listening, thanks for watching. If you really want to join in the discussion, I mean, leave a comment, right? I enjoy reading it. So other than that, yeah, have yourselves a wonderful day, and I'll see you later. Peace.